Welcome back to my series of Agile practice questions. This video is going to be questions 61 to 80 of the 120 practice questions. These practice questions comes from my PMI-ACP course. They're part of the mock exam, but you can also use them for your PMP since PMP also includes Agile. Now, these questions will test your knowledge of the Agile concepts and famously the Agile mindset. So make sure you understand them before practicing these questions. Check the link below for my PMI-ACP course, and also I also have a link there for my PMP course. Let's go right into it and get started on these questions. Question: An Agile team is managing a project with several high-risk features planned for late in the release cycle. The product owner is concerned about the cumulative risk and wants better visibility into how risk is being addressed over time. What should the Agile PM do? Use a risk burndown chart to visualize how risk is being mitigated across integrations. Restructure the sprint backlog to remove high-risk features and replace them with low-risk tasks. Recommend deferring high-risk items to the end of the development to avoid disruptions. Advise the product owner to trust the team's flexibility to handle risk as it arrives. All right, I know what I'm not doing here versus what I'm doing. So let's go with the answer here, guys. Now, you notice one of them you could have gone right off the bat with was B. You don't have the, what should you do? You don't have the ability to restructure the sprint backlog. That's something maybe the product owner do, not you. You notice the question. Let's go back to the question. Cumulative risk, better visibility. The only answer here that'll give you a visualized approach to risk management is your risk burndown chart, which shows you the severity of risk over time. Making A the best answer. You shouldn't recommend deferring high risk to the end of the development, not to the end, maybe later on, but not necessarily to the end. Avoid the product owner to trust the team. Yeah, it's good for the product owner to trust him. You should all trust the team, but the question wants us to better visualize risk, which makes A the best of those answers. Question: A project team is preparing to begin work on a new Agile initiative. The team wants to align with stakeholders, clarifying how the project will be conducted and establish a shared understanding without locking down all the details too early. What document should the project team create to accomplish this? Detailed scope statement, Agile charter that outlines the project intent, W5H, that's the 5 W's, when, where, why, and the H is the how, an execution approach, risk management plan with stakeholder tolerance, statement of work with final deliverables and cost estimates. Best answer here, guys, is going to be the Agile charter. How did I get that? Well, you notice it says here, without locking down all the details too early. So this statement here, you want something that's not too detailed and something that's early. Well, the Agile charter is exactly that. It has what the project will be doing, why are we doing this project, if we're going to be using this certain Agile approach. You don't want a detailed scope statement because that'll take too long. Risk management approaches does not necessarily specify how the project will be done. And a statement or a final delivery and cost estimates would go into detailed planning that would take very long. It can be the best answer here. Question: A program manager is reviewing the cost drivers in the COCOMO model. That's cost constructive model. And notices that the most heavily weighed factor is people, significantly outweighing tools, schedules, or even product characteristics. What does this indicate about managing cost effectively? Now, that's efficiently. Invest in automation and tooling will yield the greatest cost savings. Improving team capability and motivation will have the highest impact. Scheduling techniques and reuse planning are most cost-effective strategies. Design standardization is more valuable than team dynamics. Best answer here, guys, is going to be, if you said B, you're correct. The best answer here is B. Here's what this is. So the cost constructive model shows you that the people influence on the project drives up a lot of the cost. So if you have bad people or people not trained, people not getting along, dysfunctional team, this can cost the project an enormous amount of money. That'll have the highest impact on it, more than things like tools and automation, scheduling, and design standards. It can be the best answer. Question: an agile team uses a control chart to monitor their cycle times. Over several iterations, they notice data points that falls outside of the upper limits. How do you interpret that? What should the team interpret from this? The team has improved performance. The project scope has been extended. A special cause of variation has occurred. The team should immediately increase work per limit. So if you're doing a control chart and there's what's called upper and lower limits, anything above the upper or below the lower limits is considered some kind of defect, and it should be investigated to see why. Generally, it's not a good thing. That's why it's not about improving the team. It's not about scope getting bigger, or you should be increasing the work here because you're not doing something right. So C, there's some cause or variation. You should go in there and see what's happening in that section. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe something negative has happened there that you have to look into. You can see the best answer. Question: you're leading an agile project and want to ensure that everyone on the team has a consistent understanding of what done means for each backlog item. Some team members have completed work that doesn't meet expectations due to different interpretation of completion. What should the project manager do to establish a consistent standard? Establish a definition of done for user stories, releases, and final deliverables. Assign a quality assurance lead to review all completed items for consistency. Allow each developer to define what done means. Require all backlog items to be peer reviewed by other team members. Now, the definition of done does not come from the team. It comes from the users. So, and it's a shared thing between users and team members. So it's not like developers define that. So C is definitely out. Require all back to be peer reviewed by other team members. No, it should be reviewed with the actual. Should be reviewed with the users, the product owner, not just team members. Assign a quality. You don't need a quality assurance lead. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a definition of done, a shared definition of done for all the stories and all the releases that are coming up for the project. Make it A, the best answer. Question: a newly formed agile team is struggling with poor collaboration. Team members often work in isolation. Communication is infrequent and decisions are made inconsistently. What should the project manager do to help the team work together more effectively? Assign specific tasks to each team member based on their experience. Schedule daily one-on-one check-ins with each team. Implement stricter communication rules. Promote cross-functional collaboration and define working agreements. Yep, that definitely is the best answer here, because an agile team should be cross-functional. What does that mean? When you build an agile team, you want to have generalizing specialists. You want to have folks that knows how to do more than one thing. Maybe you hire a developer that knows testing, that knows database development. So he just doesn't know coding. He's also a database person. He's also a tester. That way they can help each other and collaborate and more communicate. You don't assign tasks to each member. Generally, the team will do that. And you shouldn't do one-on-one check-ins. They should be doing their stand-up meetings. And you don't want strict communication rule. Let the team develop the best way to communicate. Make D the best answer. Question: during a release planning meeting, the project manager asks stakeholders to imagine that the upcoming product release has already been successful. The team discusses what outcome made it success and how they achieved that. What collaboration game? So this here, it's not the sailboat. It's not about a particular feature, pruning the project tree. So the sailboat says what's driving the project, what can delay the project. Buy the feature. We didn't cover that in the course, by the way. You don't need to know that. It doesn't exist. Prune the product tree. This is going to be something where you will start to categorize all the different features that are out there. But remember the future. This one we did cover. Remember, know what I cover in the course. Remember, the future is a game where you pretend that the product was released and then you're saying, okay, what went right, what went wrong on that particular feature or that particular deliverable or output. Making D correct answer. In fact, the question is a good example. It's a good definition of D. Question. A new team member who recently transitioned from a heavily process-driven organization expresses confusion about agile priorities. They noticed that the team seemed to be focused on conversations, working code, and quick decisions rather than detailed plan and extensive documentation. What should the Agile PM do? Clarify that Agile eliminates the need for documentation contracts, replacing them with constant verbal communication. Explain that Agile values individuals and interactions, working software, customer collaboration, responded to changes, more than rigid processes, documentation. Emphasize that Agile teams avoid following any plan in order to stay flexible. Recommend shifting to a hybrid approach that minimizes stakeholder involvement to streamline decision making. So this here, you just got to know your Agile values. First of all, Agile does not eliminate, keyword here, the need for documentation. Agile teams avoids following any plan. No, they have plans. Sometimes they have a lot of plans, depending on what they're doing. Recommend shifting. No, you don't necessarily need to get rid of Agile and just go to a hybrid. But this is part of the Agile principles. We want individuals and interactions. We work in software is how we measure the progress. We welcome customer collaborations and we welcome changes at any point, even late. More than rigid processes. So we're saying, hey, more than. Doesn't mean we don't have process, documentation, and plans. Making B, best answer. Question. During development of a new system, the Agile team is struggling to align on how information such as customer and address data should be stored and linked. The team is using user stories and has general understanding of requirements, but is experiencing confusion about relationships between data elements. What tool should the project manager recommend to clarify these relationships? Use Agile modeling to create data models. Develop use case diagram to show interactions. Create a wireframe to visualize user interface. Organize a stakeholder workshop to rewrite the user stories. So I want to point out here that this here, address data should be stored and linked. So in that one, you're going to be doing a data model. Data models shows they're using database development and development of software. And what those do is they have different tables, and tables store data, and then they show how the tables are linked up. So that's called a data model. Now, use case diagrams, this is going to show how systems are going to be flowing. This visualizes a user interface. This is not going to show how data is linked and stored. They're not talking about user stories. They're talking about how data is stored and linked. Making A, best answer. Question. During a kickoff meeting, a stakeholder unfamiliar with Agile asks the Agile project manager to clarify which delivery approaches fall under the Agile umbrella. The stakeholder mentions here in terms like extreme programming, lean, Kanban, and waterfall, but isn't sure which one uses Agile. What should the PM do? Clarify that only extreme programming qualifies as Agile, since the others are either manufacturing or traditional. Explain that extreme programming, lean development, Kanban are Agile, while waterfall is traditional and plan-driven. Okay. Emphasize that all four approaches can be customized for Agile use depending on the organization. State that none of the approaches are strictly Agile unless implemented within a Scrum framework. Best answer here is definitely B. Remember, guys, extreme programming we covered in this course. Lean we covered. Kanban we covered. Waterfall, we covered that in more like a PMP course because that is going to be plan-driven traditional project, which is what B is. The rest of these are absolutely incorrect. Some of those are Agile, none of them. And A is definitely incorrect. It's not just extreme programming. Making B the correct answer. Question. An Agile project manager is working with a new team that is still in the forming stage. Team members are unclear about roles, avoid conflict, and seek guidance frequently. What leadership style should the project manager adapt to best support the team at this stage? Delegating, coaching, directing, supporting. Now you notice they're in the foreman stage. So this is the stage of the Tuckman's ladder. So it's foreman, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. In that stage, what should you be doing? Should you be supporting them, coaching them? Well, they just form and they're going to be needing directions. So you're going to be directing them because they don't know what this project is all about. They just formed, they just came together. It's not until the team really understands the work and they start doing the work that you start supporting them. Maybe they have some issues. You're going to support them resolving those issues and coaching them through the problems. Let's put X's there. Delegating the work when they determine what work to get done. So this scenario, you have to direct them in the early stages of the project. Question. During a planning session, a product sponsor asks the Agile project manager why the team cannot commit to a fixed scope for the upcoming release, especially since the budget and timelines are already approved. The sponsor is used to traditional project models where the scope is locked early. What should the Agile PM do? Explain that Agile inverts the traditional triangle by fixing time and cost while allowing scope to be varied based on values and priorities. Okay. Recommend fixing scope and adjusting the budget and schedule dynamically throughout the project. Clarify that Agile does not plan for time or cost because it operates in a reactive cycle. Suggest building all features first and extending the timeline as much as needed. Now, you just got to understand that Agile is about inverting the triangle. So in the traditional triangle, you have scope, then you have a varying time and cost. In the Agile triangle, we change that and we say we invert the triangle and we try to keep a fixed time and cost and we vary the scope. That's why we have a product backlog that can be updated and features can be added and removed, making A the other answer. Now, the rest of these are incorrect statements. All right. Suggest building all features first. We don't extend it. We don't extend timeline. And we just don't have no budget and then just do whatever budget we like, which is C. And we don't have a fixed scope. Making A best answer. Question. Mid-sprint, a team discovers that some completed tasks don't align with the sprint goal due to misunderstood requirements. The Agile project manager wants to help the team recover and improve. What should the Agile PM do? Postpone changes until the next sprint to avoid disrupting the team's current work. Encourage the team to continue and use retrospectives to address the issue later. Encourage timely inspection and real-time adaptation to correct course. Assign a new team lead to oversee communication, prevent further misunderstanding. All right, so in this one here, you want to have the team recover and improve. So what are we going to be doing here? Well, timely inspection, and we want to do this as fast as possible. Notice, didn't align with the goal. You want to have the team recover from this. It's something you should be doing on a consistent. Just don't postpone changes until the next sprint. You should implement changes consistently. You just don't want to wait until the retrospectives to address issues throughout. Timely inspection. Assign a new team lead. Just don't give it away to someone. Try to work with the team to do it. Making C best answer. Question. During a release planning session, the product owner is struggling to prioritize the product backlog items that all seem important. Several stakeholders are present, each with different opinions about which features are most valuable. The Agile project manager wants to guide the group towards a collaborative, value-driven prioritization approach. What should the project manager do? Ask the stakeholder to defer to the product owner and reprioritization offline. Revise prioritization offline. Use the team velocity and capacity data to estimate how many features can be delivered. Apply a risk-based adjusted backlog scoring to evaluate low-risk, high-value items. Facilitate a prioritization session, like dot voting, Moscow, 100 point. Best answer here, guys, is going to be work with them as a project manager. Work with the actual stakeholders in a prioritization meeting, such as maybe Moscow or 100 point method. Just don't ask them to defer it. You should not be using the team velocity in there. Once it's prioritized, maybe then we can groom the backlog, risk adjusted backlogs, but work with the stakeholders on a prioritization technique, making D best answer. Question. A company traditionally waits until full product completion before performing any financial review or requesting additional funding. On a new Agile incentive, the leadership team wants to adapt their approach to better align with Agile principles and enable faster value delivery. What should the Agile project manager recommend? Continue with traditional accounting and request all funds up front to avoid delay. Present a full feature roadmap to justify major capital investments at the beginning. Adapt Agile accounting by delivering minimum viable product and securing incremental funding. Wait until after the product release to evaluate whether accounting changes are needed. So notice there is a new Agile initiative. That's the key of the question. And they want to adapt to this. So the way you adapt to it is by utilizing minimum viable products, and you fund the product incrementally versus all the money up front. Notice this one here says a major cap at the beginning. That's A and B is almost the same thing. Wait until, and you don't fund it till the end, but you fund it throughout the project. And you can see the best of those answers. Question. A product owner is concerned about paying too much for Agile work that might extend beyond the original estimate. To manage this, the project manager proposes an agreement where the vendor is paid more for early completion, the standard rate on time for delivery, and less if they are finished late. What type of contract is this? Fixed price, graduated fixed price, cost reimbursable, time material. So this is called, and we went over this in the course, this is called graduated fixed price. In other words, depending on how early they are, if they're on time, if they're late, they get a fixed price, but it changes based on when they deliver it. So if they're early, they get more money. If they're on time, they get a certain amount of money. If they're late, they get much less money. Making the answer B. Question. During a team retrospective, several members mentioned that the digital Gantt chart used by management is confusing and disconnected from their daily work. The team has a whiteboard with sticky notes that update daily, with stakeholders where they see. The Agile project manager wants to bridge the gap while supporting Agile values. What should the Agile PM do? Assign a business analyst to maintain both digital Gantt chart and physical board. Train the team to better align their boards together with the Gantt chart milestones. Propose replacing the Gantt chart with a physical or digital Kanban board that everyone can use. Ask management to stop requesting updates from the team and only use the Gantt chart for planning. Best answer here. So, replace the Gantt chart. We like this. You should have gotten this one. We like Gantt charts that are physical. We like Kanban boards that are physical, even though this one says digital. This is the best thing here we can do that everyone can use and see. You don't want to have two different things. If you start having two different boards and everybody's seeing different boards, that's when this disconnection happens. Here, you're still maintaining two different boards. Train the team to better align. They're still maintaining two different boards. And here, you're just telling people to stop using it. So what we want to do is we want something that everyone can use and see. This is more collaborative than having some people use another thing than versus other people using something else. They can see the best answer. This way they're more in a collaboration versus being disconnected. Question. You lead in an Agile team that is preparing to develop a new feature for a student management system. One of your product owners suggests creating a sample screen sketch that shows the layout of the interface before development. The team agrees that this would help clarify expectation and reduce miscommunication. What agile modeling technique is this? Is it data models, case diagrams, screen designs, or personas? And this is straight up screen designs. Here you're creating a screen design, basically a mock-up of what the entire screen will look like, making that the right answer. This shows you how data is linked. This shows you how people will use the software. And personas is a profile of a particular user using your product. Question. A stakeholder asks why the Agile team doesn't lock down requirements before starting development. They're concerned that accommodating changes late in the project will lead to delays and budget overruns. What should the Agile PM do? Explain that Agile defines all requirements during sprint planning and resists changes after development begins. Emphasize that Agile locks down scope during release planning to stabilize the delivery and limit scope. Recommend finalizing all backlog items before the team begins to work to improve predictability. Clarify that Agile welcomes changes requirement even late in development because adapting to change supports customer value and competitive edge, making that the best answer. So remember, Agile is about really welcoming changes. Doesn't matter how late in development we are going to welcome changes. We don't define all the requirements during sprint planning, though. We don't define the requirements either. We don't lock down the scope. The scope is never locked down. And you don't recommend all backlog items before the team begins to work. No, they can add later on. Part of the Agile values is we welcome changing requirements even late or as late as possible as we defer decisions. And this helps this brings more value to our customers. Question. An Agile team struggles with staying aligned on project progress. Some team members report feeling out of the loop, while others are unsure about current risk or blockers. What should the practitioners do to address this issue? Use information radiators to share project status, risk, and blockers in real time. Schedule daily status meetings to update everyone regardless of time zones. Appoint a liaison to consolidate and distribute updates to team members. Assign team leads in each time zone to manage local progress and coordination. Best answer here, guys, is going to be A. This is correct. Now, you notice they're feeling out of loop. They're unsure about risk or blockers. That means they're unsure what's happening. What can we use? Well, let's use some information radiators, like large charts, burn up, burn down charts, team velocity, something like that. This here will tell them maybe some kind of risk charts also that we covered. So this here would be good to use. Having them do more meetings is anti-value. You don't want just one person doing it and a team leads to manage local progress. Everybody should know what's happening at all times. Choose the answer that improves collaboration, not disapproves it, making A the best answer.